We'll fix it in post.
Hello, and welcome to Downstage with Bryan Hayden. How are you all doing? It's fairly cold outside, so it's already dark here. It's probably dark in where Hayden lives right now. At
It's
least, uh,
getting there.
at least Hayden has a haircut, so there's that. Nice little smooth haircut, and I know I need to get a haircut myself, but Uh, so yeah, a lot to talk about in terms of entertainment for this week, or this past week in general, I should say. For starters, we're definitely diving into Disney Plus Day. So, Hayden, where do you want to start with Disney Plus Day? Because I know they released a slew of trailers, sizzle reels, concept art for various shows, and also just and various movies all in general.
I mean, I think we have to start off with like really the biggest one right now, and that's the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer.
Oh yeah,
Because that
even
is the
though
biggest thing. Because honestly, I think that is going to be overtaking more of the Disney Plus stuff at the moment, or the
oh yeah,
Disney Plus Day stuff. So I think we should kind of talk about that first, and
yeah,
then the other Disney Plus Day stuff. Because a lot of what they released is so minor, and minuscule generally, because it's still so early stage for a lot of that stuff.
yeah,
So I think let's kind of go right into this like the real big thing that's going on.
which is Spider-Man. So yeah, I kind of delayed this episode by a day because one, I wanted to see this trailer, and two, okay, apparently I had this, apparently I had a thing still covering it. But yeah, um, the trailer I thought was pretty good. It still didn't say that much of the story outside of them taking account to one more day where he wishes for people to not remember him to be Spider-Man and stuff like that, and it ends up essentially mm, ends up essentially destroying not destroying but yeah destroying everyone's memory of Peter Parker as Spider-Man. So it's basically the same thing where it's like, oh, Peter Parker tells Doctor Strange to do a spell gets mixed up, hilarious, hilarity ensues, and ends up bringing forth the Doc Ock, Green Goblin, the Sandman, the Lizard, Electro, probably more people too, because they are teasing that's probably got to be a lot more people than
Mm-hmm.
and everything else. But yeah, uh, but even though I felt was good, I still feel like that it doesn't have the same oomph that the other trailers, especially, I mean, when I say other trailers, I mean other Spider-Man trailers had in the past. Here, it just feels like they just don't want to show everything at once, and I think that's a probably good sign too, because I guess you don't want to have spoilers in the film already without going into the film. It's like, oh, suddenly why is Wolverine in the movie when they already, when they didn't announce it? So yeah, I think I was expecting more, but I think it still felt like a very good trailer. One that
Mm-hmm.
actually showed the stakes of what's to come, but also just the stakes of Peter Parker's life in general.
Agree 100% with that because that is something I felt has been lacking for a long time in a lot of these Marvel movies. Stakes, consequences.
Yeah, and at least with Peter Parker, his stakes in the MCU has been nothing much but wake up, save the world, go to school, go back home.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, or
Yeah.
wake up, go to school, save the world, go home, or wake up, go home. I mean, wake up, go to school, go home, save the world. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't he doesn't have a real life, and now it's sort of like it's kind of like that life is kind of like thrusted upon to him because of his own consequences for the past couple of movies or so.
Like he even says in the trailer, he like ever since he got bit by the spider, he's only had one normal week.
Yeah,
So he's always kind of been having to be that hero, having to
which
always kind of like juggle so many things. Which, of course, always makes the character inherently interesting to begin with.
Yeah, which is why Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is so great, because he's able to carry a lot of that gravitas of all that responsibility in a span of, like, say, a whole movie. Not only we see him warn Uncle Ben, we see him like try to get that revenge, we see him becoming the hero, and we see him becoming the city's hero. Andrew Garfield,
like in Spider-Man 2, where he even says that line where he's like, wondering why he can't get everything he wants, because he wants to be with Mary Jane, but he also wants to be the hero to honor Uncle Ben, and he is struggling to balance both. And even when he tries to not be the hero, he still can't get the life with MJ that he wanted.
Yeah.
So he's still constantly juggling everything, as well as, of course, trying to be delivering pizzas and taking pictures for J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, and I think this is the same problem that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man had too, where it's like like the stakes, like his stakes for like the first movie he had, his stakes was that his mentor happens to be a scientist that essentially tries to kill him, but also tries to nuke the whole, well, not nuke the whole city, but essentially
just turn everyone into lizard people like him, essentially.
Yeah, like sort of like a reverse evolution to everything else. Mm-hmm. It's like you'll see the type of you'll see
QAnon fever dream.
Yeah, and then in Spider-Man 2, his stakes is the fact that a long lost friend wants his blood because his blood might hold the key to the
curing him from a disease that his father had, essentially.
Yeah. And, from on its own, that sounds like a great Spider-Man movie, because, you have a whole stake of that. You have that emotional snake. But then you just pile on Electro, and then, Electro's presence in the film is, like, kind of wasted all by itself. But then again, even if Jimmy Fox wasn't playing the character, it would be like a very one-noted type of person that was like, oh, yeah, I forgot Electro's in this movie. But because Jimmy Fox really gives it his all as Electro, he makes it a very memorable character. The same reason why, who's it called? Thomas Hayden Church Sandman is so cool, because even though Sandman is so kind of forgetful in terms of being a Spider-Man villain, especially in a Raimi-verse, mind you.
Yeah.
He still makes it his own because of the gravitas he has. You can see the regret he has in terms of being, shooting up Ben. Spoilers, by the way. You see his regret. You see him wanting to be a good father and all that stuff. And then, it.
Yeah, like he says, he's not a bad person. He just got bad luck.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just. But yeah, I do agree that there hasn't been that much stakes in terms of Peter Parker's life in the MCU. Granted, the first movie he had was he's gonna be hanging with Iron Man and hanging with Iron Man and beating up Captain America and his team, because they won't sign some record or something like that,
or their Accord kind of thing, or the Sokovia Accords. That's what it was.
Yeah, they're international outlaws. Second movie he has, it's his first movie. Okay, he finds out that his girlfriend's dad is the supervillain. Second movie, he finds out his mentor is a monstrous psychopathic.
Who's also very much angry with Tony Stark.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing, is that all these people in the MCU, especially as the Spider-Man characters, have been mostly just Tony Stark related. Here for No Way Home, it feels more than that. It feels that the weight of not only being Spider-Man, especially for Peter Parker in the MCU, is also going to be carrying over to this whole multiversal effect of, okay, maybe this is going to be the Spider-Man where it's like all the Spider-Man, well, not all the Spider-Man, but all the Spider-Man has is to carry this notion of, with great power, with great responsibility. And I love the fact that, even though Doc Ock is, they're still carrying over the fact that Doc Ock died or vanished or what have you. Well, he technically does die at the end of Spider-Man 2, but here it's like they pick him up saying he's still alive. He's still the same Doc Ock, but he's still alive. So he's not dead, nor is he alive.
Well, it's like the line he kind of like says in the trailer, telling Peter how he's essentially fighting ghosts.
Yeah,
How
but
they're essentially how because of whatever Strange did, it like essentially brought them. So it's either he pulled them out in their last moments before death, or he brought them back from that universe, or almost essentially raising them from the dead, and then to cast them back into that world is essentially cast them back into the grave.
yeah,
Because as Doctor Strange says, all those villains who show up had died fighting Spider-Man.
yeah, and
And then also it's like you see Peter essentially trying to then change that because he doesn't because with the responsibility he doesn't want to feel responsible for essentially sending these people back to their deaths.
yeah,
Especially
and
because it seems like Doc Ock is going to be helping him out. Like they
yeah,
probably they have that confrontation on the bridge, but it seems like later in the trailer kind of is insinuated that he's actually going to be helping them.
yeah, and
Especially when there's like one shot where Electro fires his lightning and you see Doc Ock essentially taking the hit of it and falling off the um, whatever building or statue or thing they're on.
the bridge or whatever. But yeah, I do love the fact that it does look like they are bringing the characterization of Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2 as being the more, even though he was like, he's literally about to kill Peter Parker, he's like, wait a minute, you're not my Peter Parker. And then he starts like, you're just a kid and all that stuff. And you're just like, you get the sensations like, oh, you know, even though they're bringing some of these characteristics from these films, it does feel like they are trying to keep it more mindful of, okay, this is still the MCU. There's still
Mm-hmm.
stuff even though Green Goblin is being lifted from, say, maybe the Sam Raimi movie, but we don't know yet because it's just like, oh, it's just Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin. We know he's just gonna be playing the Sam Raimi version of Green
Mm-hmm.
Goblin. But is he though? And that's the thing that I feel like the trailer is
I
not.
mean, he definitely is because it's Willem Dafoe, and like if you're gonna have him play a version that's different from that, then it's definitely a wasted opportunity, especially when it's very clear that he's gonna be leading this,
Oh yeah.
Sinister
So,
Six style group of villains.
and yeah, it's definitely feels like I wanted more from the trailer, but at the same time, I can honestly understand why they cut it down or not
Mhm.
shown as much as they not shown much in terms of just like story. I can understand them
Well,
doing.
actually, I kind of have to go a little opposite of that because I feel like they actually do tell the story, like just a decent Cliff Notes version of what's essentially going to happen. Like
Okay.
Peter's identity is revealed, he's on the run, he has to deal with that, and he wants to try and make everyone forget about that so he can try and get his life back, essentially. But the
Yeah.
spell goes wrong, the villains start showing up, and then he has to start figuring out how to fight these villains and also work with Strange to get them to send them back to their universe. Then he's gonna have a little bit of a tussle with Strange over whether that's okay to do or not. And then they're gonna have that big final confrontation out on the on that what looks like the Statue of Liberty under construction or something like that.
Yeah, or something to that effect. Yeah.
Also, I want to say there was something about that one shot where Tom Holland's Spider-Man is jumping into action on one side, and on the other you see Electro, Sandman, and Lizard. Like
Yeah.
the way it looks, it definitely looks like they were editing it out or cropping out the Toby and Andrew Spider-Man. Because Tom
Yeah.
Holland Spider-Man's going straight for Sandman, and Sandman's going for him. But Electro isn't focused on Tom Holland Spider-Man. He's focused on someone right in front of him. Same with the Lizard. He's not focused on this, Tom Holland Spider-Man that's essentially above him. He's focused on in front of him.
Yeah. Sort of like that
So
weird.
it's definitely like they're definitely like what you're saying, like they're trying to keep out certain elements to not spoil it. So I
Yeah.
feel
Sort of
like
It's sort of like that weird shot of the first trailer where it's like Peter's on the bridge of somebody and he's right by a window and there's like this woman who looks like she's being superimposed
mm-hmm,
and not show like who's actually in that limo. It's like,
mm-hmm.
why is this woman framed so oddly? Because it's like,
And looks so calm considering the situation.
yeah. So it does look like they're obviously maybe manipulating things to.
Like they did with the Far From Home trailer when he's on that stage and they put a different Spider-Man suit on him from what was actually in the movie.
Oh yeah. Forgot about that actually. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely feels like, yes, they are probably taking care of spoilers and stuff like that too, because they don't want people to go, you know, I think they want to have people surprised, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's going to be the notion going forward. Is that
Mm-hmm.
especially uh, going
Especially
forward,
especially when at the end of the trailer it says exclusively in theaters.
yeah, and not got to be on Disney, Plus and stuff like that too. Even
Mm-hmm.
though after like maybe 2 months or so, I'll probably be in it. Like Shang-Chi is going to go straight to
Mm-hmm.
Disney Plus.
But it probably won't be this thing before with the other movies where you could get it, but you gotta pay $30 to watch it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that like maybe after a month or so,
Yeah.
because it's Disney Plus. They want to get it's Disney. They probably want to get more monies and stuff like that too. And
Mm-hmm.
speaking of Disney Plus, we should talk about the Disney Plus trailers.
Yep.
So, my God, Moon Knight looks awesome. She-Hulk looks amazing. I love the fact that She-Hulk has a reminiscent of a scene that feels straight out of the TV show The Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if that's Jennifer Walters playing an actress like her cousin or something like that, or because she goes to court and stuff like that too. But I'm not sure if that is Jennifer Walters like on the screen like acting or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, uh, maybe it is. I'm not sure. But She-Hulk looks amazing. Moon Knight looks awesome because
Mm-hmm.
I've been waiting to see Moon Knight, and I know Oscar
Oscar Isaac.
Isaac is going to be amazing as Mark Spector. And yeah, there's also the concept art that they released for Kenobi. The stuff that they released it was only like maybe 3 pictures or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
but the 3 pictures look amazingly detailed, and it looks like what you're gonna be seeing. It looks like you're gonna have a rematch between Vader and Kenobi.
Mm-hmm. There
Uh,
actually was an extended sizzle reel that came out. I don't know if I sent this to you or not, but it
yeah,
shows a
yeah,
couple more
I did.
pictures. It shows Vader sitting on his throne at his castle in Mustafar. There was like one more picture, but I don't remember exactly what that was. There was like it had like one or two more, but still not, but still very everything close to the chest still.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't think they showed a lot of Miss Marvel, but it looked pretty interesting to say the least. Because even I think it was just like a shot of her with the Captain Marvel outfit and just standing in the mirror, just smiling and stuff like that too. Unless they showed more of it, I just don't know if they did. And then there's like the Secret Invasion thing where it's just like Samuel L. Jackson, eye patched off. It's Nick Fury, looking pissed off, bearded, all that stuff, and he's ready for war. That's how you know Nick Fury is pissed off.
The one thing I gotta say that frustrates me sometimes with the trailers that Disney Plus does, it's like one or two new things, and then they just reuse so much other stuff to fill up space. It's like, okay, we get it. You wanted to keep fans and engaged, but you barely gave anything engaging. You just gave one
Yeah.
or two couple of new things and then reused footage, like that Secret Invasion trailer. It's mainly that one, that frame with Samuel Jackson with the beard, no eye patch. But then the majority of it is just reused footage from like the other Disney Plus shows, which is like it's just a little frustrating because it's like, come on, y'all could at least give us a little more something than that.
Well, I can understand if
At
the
least, at
show.
least just don't reuse footage the amount that you did because the majority of it was just reused footage.
Well, it's a way to also save production costs too, especially if they are filming right now. So, ooh, excuse me.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then like, don't try to overly tease something. Then
I think it's
just keep it close to the
because.
vest because like they know that they have a dedicated fan base no matter what they do, so they
Oh
don't
yeah.
have to tease something to really not tease it at all.
Oh yeah, and again, Secret War or Secret Invasion really is a big storyline too, and it's gonna be probably the Disney Plus exclusive, the Disney Plus equivalent to something to of a spy movie or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if especially with the idea of the skulls being on Earth, and there's evil skulls or something like that. Unless they decided to.
Especially because they set up the Skrulls as being the good guys. So would it just be like there's a Skrull civil war kind of thing going on, or did they just turn evil? And if so, why did and how did they turn evil?
Oh
Like, what
yeah,
was that motivation?
yeah. It definitely feels like they have an idea, but at the same time, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just reading over Secret Wars anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say for the Moon Knight trailer while you're doing that, I have never known much about Moon Knight, so I'm not really a fan, just mainly because I just don't know the character. But I saw a trailer and oh boy, am I now hooked on what they're gonna do with that. Because that is a good trailer, especially for that kind of character. And She-Hulk, again, wanted more. It was very brief. Because I think with Moon Knight, it's brief, but it feels like you kind of get more of what's going on. Like you get a more clear understanding of what's going on. Whereas with She-Hulk, it's just sort of like, okay, here's She-Hulk in her costume, the green skin. Here's the actress saying the iconic Hulk line. Oh, and here we got Hulk saying, okay, we're gonna run some tests, and the actress is in this like secured box kind of thing for whatever tests they're gonna do.
yeah.
So yeah, it's okay. Just yeah, it's okay. Wish there was a little more, but it is what it is.
I do like that they are doing a short. I mean, like a shorts of Groot, like a baby Groot thing. And
Mhm.
oh yeah, they okay. I think there was Ironheart, which is about Riri Williams, the kid who basically becomes like the next Iron Man, or the one, if I remember, if that was the gist of everything. There's Iron Wars, which is basically War Machine story.
Mhm.
The Iron Groot, which is apparently the glory days of Baby Groot's glory days growing up. So I just imagine it being very, very, very fun to say the least. But the one that I loved the most was another Spider-Man one called Freshman Year, which is about essentially, basically Peter Parker's year one, essentially, of him becoming like Spider-Man. And I love the fact that they are doing a Spider-Man like prequel series without going like a full on. Oh, sadly, this will be like the upbeat time. We'll see Uncle Ben dying, but it's.
Mhm.
I hope it actually is like good because the animation style that they've been showing, especially for What if they do it
Mhm.
like What If, that'll probably be amazing to say at least because I do like the What If animation style.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sold on it yet. I mean, mainly because they haven't shown anything. They just kind of announced, "Hey, here's the show we're going to be doing," and
Yeah.
then no real major details, no trailer yet. So I'm not really entirely sold on it just yet. I definitely want to see a trailer first before I.
Marvel Zombies though is a surprise for me because I wasn't expecting that to actually be part of the the MCU going forward. I guess
Mhm.
because the zombies episodes of or the zombie episode of What If,
Mhm.
got more people to attention to Marvel Zombies, so we might as well make one.
Yeah, why not? People will watch it.
Yeah, especially if you follow what happens after the episode. So yeah, if it just follows Peter and Ant-Man and maybe Black Panther, but I'm not sure if they'll keep Black Panther.
Well, they said they weren't recasting him, so I think that would include like animation as well.
Yeah. So I just imagine the character will probably be, unfortunately pass away. But
Mhm.
But yeah, speaking of Black Panther, so it actually goes straight into another discussion point that we had last week in the past couple of weeks, where it has been. Although this is just primarily rumors, and so on the side Black Panther, Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri in Black Panther and Infinity War and Endgame and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. She's been known last summer. What was it? Yeah, last summer. She posted about the vaccines being laced with luciferitis or something. I forgot.
I think it's like luciferin.
Yeah, luciferin. Yeah, and she was posting it from like some sort of like well-known like preacher or something like that, and it got to a point where even Don Cheadle uh, was like literally on his main account, like talking to her, was like, this is not what that we stand up for, or something like that. I forgot what he actually said, but he basically talked to her on his main account, like in her mentions and whatnot. So yeah, uh, so according to the rumors, her anti-vax views has been essentially been flooded into the making of a Black Panther 2. But at the same time, they've been saying, no, that's not true at all. See, we've been trying to work around an injury she had back in August. And once production starts again, they'll be able to do everything in terms of filming everything. But it sounds like there's like two stories here. There's the story of apparently she's kind of been saying a lot of anti-vax views on set, and there's the producers saying no, that's not true. She's just been the reason why we have been she hasn't been filming that much is because she hurt herself, and so we've been trying to like work around her injury. Now, if she had injured herself, then that's fine. You got to work around your injury and stuff like that too.
And you got to heal up too. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to heal up too. But two, if she is still doing anti-vax views, that still is a major concern because one, she's playing a scientist. Two, she's probably playing one of the most smartest scientists in the MCU or in the Marvel universe, and saying that she doesn't believe in the science or she's just believing in anti-vax. Uh,
Or she'll probably justify it by saying, no, she was a different kind of science, but it's a made up kind of science.
Yeah. So yeah, it does definitely sound like they are, and of course it's what is it? Winston Duke's Mabaku's role might
Umbaku,
yeah,
as they pronounce it in the movie.
Mabaku might become the next Black Panther, which makes more sense in a more character arc wise because one, Mabaku actually becomes T'Challa's friend over the course of the movie, even though they start as enemies. So that's like kind of like perfect a perfect symmetry, whereas like you have the enemies become friends at the end, especially becoming allies. And if the whole backstory or whole plot to Wakanda Forever is about the death of T'Challa, then who steps up? Obviously, someone who, obviously a character like M'Baku, who kind of like turns himself around, especially with the performance that Winston Duke made in both, in Black Panther.
And also too, it's like T'Challa was the king of Wakanda, and that means someone else would have to take the throne. And if you're going to be a leader, you have to actually be able to be the leader. Whereas like with Letitia Wright's Shuri character, like her character could never honestly do that because her character is a scientist.
Yeah,
she's not a fighter. She's coming up with solutions to problems behind the scenes. And yeah, she has those like sort of like self-made Iron Man gauntlets that shoot kind of similar kind of energy blasts or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we saw in the first Black Panther movie, she's not a fighter.
Yeah,
she's definitely not. And yeah, they could say, oh, well, they could train her character, but it's like, I mean, yeah, but if you're naturally not a fighter to begin with, you'd have to spend a lot of time training to actually be a fighter. And also, she would spend, and also that would kind of like, and they'd probably show that conflicting with like, okay, well, I'm trying to be a scientist, and I'm trying to help lead Wakanda or whatever. And then that's when M'Baku would step in and kind of start taking over as a leader, because he's already led his tribe and he already knows how to be a leader. Plus, again, what you're saying before, it's that great thing of like, he started off as enemies with T'Challa, but then T'Challa earned his respect. They became
Yeah.
friends. They fought alongside enemies together.
And that's another thing is like one, you have also Angela Bassett too, and especially her in the cast. So if you need to do anything that sense of regalness, you just have her character just be on the screen and just like have her pertain to court while if they do want to bring Shuri as the new Black Panther or something like that, then have her mother just being the one that's in charge of everything, while Shuri is the one that does the more behind the scenes stuff and all that stuff. But yeah, it's like
and also, there's actually one more thing I thought of too, because the way the first movie ends, the that ritual fruit or whatever that they take to essentially become the Black Panther gets destroyed.
gone.
It's no more. So like, then it's like, would they try to find a way to create more of that in Wakanda Forever, or would they just have to address the fact that can't do that anymore?
Yeah, and whatchamacallit? I mean, as much as you could say that if it wasn't for the planet stuff, T'Challa's body would probably be in a very bad shape because of all the wear and tear that he would have been going through with all the stuff that's in his body shoot. Or, excuse me again, perfect tonight. With
It's like sees you drinking soda. Why am I burping?
It's also because I ate dinner before, so
that too.
But yeah, the idea of M'Baku becoming Black Panther would probably be an interesting more take because of Shuri becoming Black Panther. Because at least I can understand Shuri becoming Black Panther because it follows the comics. But in comics, he has a lot more of a backstory, a lot more diplomatic approaches and stuff like that too. And she's only been in 2 films. Yeah, well, she's only been in 3 films.
Technically 3, but really she only acts in 2 of them per se, because she's in Endgame, but we don't actually see her do any acting aside from showing up in the final fight scene and just standing next to T'Challa at that Wakanda ceremony in Endgame.
Yeah, and in Black Panther, you have the whole thing with Shuri. You show her, show all that stuff, and then in Infinity War, she just helps out with not only fixing or trying to fix,
trying to remove the Infinity Stone from Vision.
Yeah, from Vision, without trying to kill him, but also has her helping Bucky become, Bucky again. So yeah, it definitely does sound like.
Like she's way more of a scientist than someone who will go out fighting.
Yeah, she's way more a scientist, unless they want to have her Black Panther to be more of the scientific hero and just start using gadgets and whatnot, like something to that effect. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening, but at the same time, there's the stuff with her behind the scenes, and is it real?
And that's the thing, though. Like, the fact that she is very pro anti-vax and probably, of course, didn't get the COVID vaccine herself, it does present a health risk to everyone who's on that set. Like,
and
every time she shows up on set to work, she is presenting a health risk to everyone there, regardless of the vaccinated or not. It's still a health risk.
Yeah, and whatchamacallit, and they just did a new a new advisory or stance about people who are coming from out of state. So people who are coming from like Europe and everything, they still have to get all that stuff sorted out, because if you're going to film something, or if you are visiting America or something like that, same exact thing. Like,
oh yeah, like my best friend came over from Australia. She got her first shot in Australia and then got her second shot here. And I guess because of that, it's been crazy amount of paperwork that she's still having to deal with. And this is like months and months later.
Damn. Yeah, I just imagine that being like not only a paperwork, but also just being like a writer standpoint, where it's just like, how do we fix a lot of this stuff, especially going forward? Because if Letitia Wright does have an injury and they're trying to work around that, then good for them trying to work around an injury, especially if it's a bad back injury and stuff like that too. But if it's also what they've been saying true or not, with her being very anti-vax, then it definitely feels like, oh, they need to figure out what will Act 3 be about if this is going to be if this keeps moving forward. Because
Well, I think both are true because she's been doing the anti-vax stuff before, the reports of the injury that she sustained happened. And then,
yes.
the injury, and then they said, no, she was injured. And I'm like, honestly, yeah, like I think both can be true in this instance.
Yes, but yeah, it definitely feels like there's something oddly up with that too, and
Mm-hmm. Well, it's probably also like contract stuff too. So they're
yeah,
probably also trying to figure out how best to work around that as well.
yes. What was it? Trying to remember what else was next to talk about because. Oh, right.
The Catwoman.
Thank you. I forgot about that. Okay, so picking up more about the comics and again, this whole week was like very comic-filled type of news, but there is one news story that I'm saving for last. So, and you could probably appreciate it for me talking about it last. But anyway, uh, so Halle Berry said that the only way she would go back to doing Catwoman if she would be allowed to direct a Catwoman film, and she said that she knows the type of story she wants to do, which is essentially Catwoman saving the day and becoming a very like almost superhero like quite quality of character.
Mm-hmm.
So, would you be mindful of Halle Berry returning to role of Catwoman, or at least directing Catwoman on screen as a director?
Well, I'd definitely be interested to see how she would direct it because I don't know. Has she done a lot of directing before, and I just haven't been aware of?
Yes, I believe her new movie Bruise is something that she directed. I'm not sure. I know she. Yeah, I think she either directed the film or I know she produced the film. So,
Mm-hmm.
but she. This is obviously going to be edited out. Yeah, she made her directorial debut with Bruise, which is about an MMA fighter. So yeah, and she said that she learned not only did she learn a lot from directing Bruise, but she also learned a lot since Catwoman. So especially as an actress and probably as a writer too, producer, that sort of thing too. So from your standpoint, yeah, what do you think? Would you be interested? You said you'll be interested, but like, would you be interested in Halle Berry returning to both the role of Catwoman, or would you be interested in her like directing the Catwoman movie?
I'd be more curious to see her directing the Catwoman movie because based off, you know, the role she played as Catwoman in one of the previous films, or one of the previous, in the Catwoman movie that came out so many years ago. So I'd be curious to see how she directs, a new Catwoman movie. Like say get her as the director and then Zoe Kravitz as playing reprising role of Catwoman.
Yeah,
That is something I would definitely be interested to see, like
I
how
would
they do
love.
that.
I would love to see her as a Catwoman-like character, sort of like this, sort of like what they were trying to do in the Catwoman movie, where they had Frances Conroy as sort of like a Catwoman type of character in the past,
Yeah,
where
that like a mentor figure kind of
yeah,
thing.
mentor figure. But they
Yeah,
kind
that like I would like to actually see Halle Berry kind of do that as well.
of, especially if they have Zoe Kravitz's character, Catwoman be like the even if it's a one-off film where it's not falling after the Batman, but they still bring her on, where it's just like
Like it could actually make sense too because like if they wanted to be the more hero route, then you could say okay, her time with Batman has changed her. She's still kind of an anti-hero. She's still cat burgling so to speak, hence the term cat, hence Catwoman. But then she's also kind of becoming more of a hero role. Like we could see a scene of her, in the middle of a robbery, and then she
yeah,
stumbles onto a crime. Then she just is like, well, you know what? I got some time. I'll help out, and then kicks butt.
yeah. It's sort of like the same thing that I want to say the Arkham games does well, which is essentially like she's a cat burglar, but there's the cat Catwoman DLC for Arkham City that is so amazingly well done that you do see her as both a hero and as the anti-hero at the same time. Whereas it's like, oh, she'll just do everything in her own playful way.
Exactly.
And then suddenly it's just like, oh, okay, you know, she could be a hero if she really wanted to, but at the same time, she doesn't. She just doesn't want to because she doesn't feel like she is that, you know, hero, you know, that needy, gritty hero that you come to know and love in other like adaptations. And then, you know, say what you want about the Nolan films, at least her like their version, like at least the version of Catwoman, their version of the Cat. I'm sorry, it feels like it does feel like a Catwoman character.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, Anne Hathaway played the role like a 1940s femme fatale, but you know that's just my that's just my opinion.
I mean, it was okay. It was okay for what it was. She had a few okay moments. Like it was kind of fun seeing the scene where she kind of is like playing all like, you know, like shy, coy, like, oh no, I just stumbled onto a room I shouldn't have, and then Bruce Wayne catches on to what she's doing, and then you immediately see that shift of like, oh, oops. So that was a little fun to see. It was just like so funny, like when she has like the heel of her leg like stopping the what's his name's arm, and it's like, cat got your tongue. It's like when they do kind of have those moments, they're okay, they're interesting, they're fine, but they don't. But it's like then it kind of just fades off into the background.
Yeah, and they kind of like focus on her as more like the she's only in it for herself until the end type of thing. Like almost like a Han Solo type of character. She even has the Han Solo moment where she comes back and like literally saves the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I didn't real. Oh my god, I did not realize that. Oh my god! After 12 years, I mean not 12 years. After almost a decade or so, I did not get that. Oh, I did not see that. I did not see that reference coming. She literally has the Han Solo arc where she starts off as the she starts
the
off
criminal who's in it for themselves,
only in for herself. Meets up with this the hero who tries to do some optimism. Sort of works. She leaves him at the end, a la Han Solo, and then comes back around to help him out to kill the bad guy, or at least destroy the thing. Oh my God, Nolan, you just directly stolen from the Star Wars, and no one has ever told her you that. Oh my God. Oh my God, that is amazing.
All right, well, I have control of this. Oh, he's back.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks. What the heck? I never actually put those two and two together until now. Of course, I may be just riffing on the character or the character thing, but yeah, it does actually. It actually does pair up kind of well. But to end this episode, and I know, and I kind of like did a lot of talking today, so I kind of don't want to keep on talking. So, and it's kind of sad that I haven't got you much to talk to as well, but
that's okay.
To end this episode on, and I know we just did a reading last night, I think, or did you do like rehearsal for a reading?
Last night, no, it was a reading last night for Between Riverside and Crazy.
Oh, okay. So I know we kind of like just did a lot of talking for the past like almost 24 hours. So, you know, so my voice needs a rest too, but.
Yeah, like I drank like a bottle of water before we started.
But, so the last story I want to talk about is the Britney Spears, Free Britney Spears movement and how she's now finally free of the conservatorship thing. Good for her, but where do you see her going from here, Hayden? Or what is your thoughts?
Honestly, my thoughts are, yeah, great for her. But yeah, I just don't have any thoughts of what, you know, could be the future for her. Because it's up to her now. It's all up to her. It's up to her now. No one has know what her future is, so that's really
Yeah, I would like to see her record a new album, but you know, I can understand, not wanting to be in a record booth, recording studio for, hours on end, especially after going through essentially legal hell for the past, like, say, what, decade or so, past few
Hmm.
years, several years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Like
Yeah.
it's been way too long.
But yeah, if she does like it'd be very nice if she does like the Taylor Swift thing where she, re-records some of her old songs into a new, the new modernized thing. I'm not saying her songs from like 20 years ago are bad, but they do feel like dated in terms of uh,
Like,
audio, just like song ingenuity from that time, because they
mm,
do feel like early 2000s pop. Like if
mhm,
you record "Baby One More Time" now, you could easily do it more of a mon take, because if you hear "Baby One More," "Hit Me Baby One More Time," you easily think, okay, that's easily early 2000s pop.
mhm,
It has that very distinct flair. So I could easily see her like
mhm.
maybe re-recording her old hits or something like that. Greatest hits album just to be on the safe side. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can't wait to see where Britney Spears goes from here, because she deserves all the praise in the world, and she just deserves a nice little rest for the most
Mhm.
part.
Absolutely. And
Not
funny
being
enough, I want to say one thing about the song thing, about like the possibility of re-recording. Like that's kind of the appeal though of a lot of those songs though. You know, because of what they were back in the day. Like look at how many people go back to songs from like the 70s and the 80s
oh yeah,
because of like how they sound then, because they all sounded unique and original.
yeah.
Whereas like with a lot of stuff now, it's hard to really kind of hear the originality. It all almost kind of is like blending together sometimes.
I mean, I'm not saying that she should re-record everything. I'm just saying maybe if she could just you know,
No, I'm just offering a contrast,
yeah.
a hot
I'm
take
just
with Hayden.
yes, I know that's what Downstage really is. Just this hot takes, just this hot takes. Like my hot take of finding out that the Catwoman's basically whole arc in The Dark Knight Rises mirrors friggin' Han Solo. So
Yes, I've taken over the show now.
but yeah, I just wanted to have that this episode and kind of like yeah, very very light, because past few episodes have been very almost downish. I wouldn't say downer, but it
Just
has been.
because of the subject matter of some of the topics we were talking about, because of the stuff that had gone on, it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it is kind of hard not to kind of like,
talk about a nice little break from everything else, especially with COVID and stuff like that too,
oh yeah.
and yeah. So yeah, Hayden. Before we all go, do you have any last recommendations, last thoughts do you have about this week?
Hmm. I will give basically a very short summary of what I thought of the third season of the Netflix show You. It was a weird roller coaster that jumped on too many different tracks too fast.
Hmm, interesting. I thought we were gonna say it needed more blood.
It's got plenty of that. There's plenty of that already.
My last thoughts. If you want to keep on watching trailers, I would suggest rewatching the Batman trailer, because as much as I love the No Way Home trailer, go back to the Batman trailer. I'm not saying that as a Batman fan. I'm just saying that I love Batman and I love Spider-Man, but as a trailer fan, I love the Batman trailer more because it feels more of, not only are the stakes more huge, but it just feels more like an action-packed movie, where No Way Home feels like it's going to be an action-packed Marvel movie, where it's like you kind of like see where I'm trying to go with that.
Oh,
Anyway,
definitely. And as a Batman fan, I have been doing that too.
uh, and again, that might be because of just how John Waters directs. John Waters. Oh my god. That's a totally different Spider-Man movie, by the way. John Waters is Spider-Man. I'm sorry, John Watts is Spider-Man. I think that's just how John Watts just directs Spider-Man, which is essentially almost very formulaic, Marvel-ish type of, what have you.
Oh,
But
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
that has been Downstage with Bryan and Hayden this week. Kind of a short episode, but it kind of like lead it over with mostly with the Spider-Man talk and Disney Plus talk. So I hope you all had enjoyed this episode. Please comment, subscribe, share, like all that good stuff. And please remember, just be safe, be well, and we're almost home to this home. We're almost to the home run. I mean, we're almost to the home base to this end of the year.
We are no way home.